What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing Museum with the Forgotten Fisticuffs Series, Round 10, Colored Welterweight Champions. Great Puerto Rican fighter, Herbert Louis Hardwick Arroyo. He was born May 2nd, 1914 in Mayo West, Puerto Rico. He died December 27, 1966 in Chicago, Illinois. He had total bouts of 244, 176 victories, 48 by the KO route, 55 losses, and 10 draws. On May 27, 1929, the 15-year-old began his professional debut at Lake's Restaurant in Atlanta against a fighter by the name of Joe Miller. 1930-1940s, Louis Hardwick fought some of the greatest African-American fighters, better known as the Black Murderers Row. He would face fighters such as Jack Chase, Eddie Booker, Burt Littell, Lloyd Marshall, the colored middleweight king, Holman Williams, and a dynamite fighter from Pittsburgh, Charlie Burley. Now, the Black Murderers Row came in three groups. You had Peter Jackson, Bob Armstrong, Frank Charles, George Byers, Ed Martin, who was Denver Ed Martin, Jack Johnson, Sam McVeigh, Joe Jeanette, Sam Langford, Harry Wills, Obie Walker, George Godfrey, Larry Gans. Outstanding group in the heavyweight division. Middleweight division consisted of fighters such as Harris Martin, Ed Beeney, Joe Butler, Frank Craig, who was the Harlem Coffee Cooler, George Byers, Sam Langford, Eddie Palmer, Jamaica Kid, Larry Estridge, Charlie Burley, Holman Williams, and the great Coco Kid. Welterweights were great fighters such as Gorilla Jones, Coco Kid, Charlie Burley. You had great lightweights such as Nobby Gans. Middleweight, Obie Walker, Allentown Joe Gans, Panama Joe Gans, middleweight Harry Smith, middleweight Jack McVeigh. These are just some of the greatest African-American fighters with the Black Murderers Row. Now, on July 26, 1936, better known as the Coco Kid, would face a fighter by the name of Young Peter Jackson. He was the holder of the Pacific Coast and the Mexican lightweight titles. Now, he would face this fighter in Henningman Park in New Orleans, Louisiana. It was scheduled for 10 rounds, but he would knock him out in a TKO fashion in the second round. And he would earn the title, the Colored Welterweight Championship. He would be the first Puerto Rican fighter to own a title, and it would be the Colored Welterweight Championship strap. On September 22nd, 1936, he would defeat Jackie Avelino on a 10-point must system. On June 11th, 1937, next opponent would be perhaps his best of the Black Murderers Row, Holman Williams, who he hit first 9 times. Now, the Ring Magazine would donate a belt. It would donate one of the first championship belts to the colored division. February 2nd, 1933, Coco Kid defeated a former featherweight champion by the name of Louis Kid Camplin. Outstanding, huge crowd in the arena in New Haven, Connecticut. Coco Kid was highly ranked in May 31st, 1938, when Barney Ross, who was the welterweight king, would lose his strap to a phenomenon, hammering Henry Armstrong. Now, at that time, Barney Ross had on his schedule a fighter by the name of Jimmy Garrison. Jimmy Garrison was ranked number 6 out of the top 5. Within that top 5, you had Charlie Burley and Coco Kid. When Henry Armstrong defeated Barney Ross, manager Eddie Meade kept the schedule that belonged to Barney Ross. Barney Ross had in his contract that he would not fight a black murderous row fighter. The first fighter he refused to face was Allentown Joe Gans. And from that point, he didn't face any black murderous row fighters. So Henry Armstrong never ducked a black murderous row fighter. They were not on his schedule. He was a fighter, Enemy was the manager. Henry Armstrong was one of the greatest fighters of all times. Now when the Coco Kid would move up to the middleweight division, he would be avoided by fighters such as the middleweight champion, Tony Zale, Marcel Sedan, Rocky Graciano, middleweight champion, Al Hastat, Sammy Angot, Tony Gennaro, in fact, Rocky Graciano would give Tony Gennaro an opportunity over the Coco Kid. He would face Jimmy Bivens, in an exhibition bout. Now Coco Kid would spar with Sugar Ray Robinson and Pumpkin Lakes. 1949, while he was preparing for a fight with Steve Belois. Steve Belois is a brother by the name of Mike Belois, who would be champion. But Steve Belois would face Sugar Ray Robinson, and in preparation for that bout, Robinson would spar with Coco Kid. And in the fourth round, Ray Robinson would get clipped on the chin, and he'd get dropped by Coco Kid. And the Coco Kid was in his last years of his professional career. That's the kind of fighter Coco Kid was. Coco Kid would spar with Simon Lucas, who was a devastating two-fisted puncher from Honduras. Outstanding fighter was Simon Lucas. Middleweight champion Rocky Graciano, once welterweight, was offered to face Coco Kid, and he would refuse. Now, I was given an autographed photo of Rocky Graciano. He was a dynamite fighter, but he did avoid Coco Kid. Did Rocky Graciano. Coco Kid would spar with young Manuel Quides, who's a Spanish lightweight, up-and-coming star. And after the sparring sessions, wanted no parts of Coco Kid. Young Artie Levine, Brooklyn, New York, devastating puncher. Once dropped Sugar Ray Robinson in the 4th round in Cleveland, Ohio. One of the most hardest punchers at that time. Did not give Coco Kid an opportunity. A former opponent of Coco Kid was two-fisted heavyweight middleweight fighter Bert Littell, Black Murderers Row, stated that Coco Kid gave him the toughest fight of his career. Ray Robinson states that Coco Kid was one of the greatest fighters of all times. Coco Kid would lose the colored welterweight championship strap to a Pittsburgh phenomenon, Charlie Burley. Charlie Dwayne Burley. Fascinating, murderous row fighter. So he would pass the torch to one of the greatest fighters of all times, Charlie Burley. Burley was born September 6, 1917, Pensacola, Florida. Later moved to Pennsylvania. He was an Irish and African-American fighter who stood 5'9", weighed 142 and 162 pounds. He died October 16, 1992. He was 75 years of old age at the time of his death. He had 5 boys and 2 girls, 98 total bouts, 83 wins, 50 knockouts, 12 losses, 2 draws, 1 no contest. He was never stopped in 83 rounds. 83 boxing matches and was never stopped. That's phenomenal. And he would face fighters such as Fitzy Zivit and Archie Moore, Ezzy Charles, Holman Williams, Coco Kid, Jimmy Bivens, Tiger Jackson, Georgie Abrams, Jack Chase, Little Tiger Aaron Wade, Oakland Billy Smith, Charlie Williams. Fascinating fighter. 1938, August 22nd, colored welterweight championship, 15 rounds. He would defeat Coco Kid. 1944, April 3rd, he would win the middleweight championship strap, California, when facing Jack Chase. Now, Charlie Burley was spar with one of the greatest middleweights of that time, Joe Blackwood. Fascinating middleweight out of Paterson, New Jersey. And he would be taught a lesson. Joe Blackwood was an avoided fighter. Charlie Burley was sparred with a fighter, fantastic fighter by the name of Eddie Bowe, Philadelphia middleweight. He'd be outworked, fighter by the name of J.D. Rogers. J.D. Rogers was an outstanding fighter. Over 20 rounds of sparring against Bobby Suber, he would face the great Archie Moore. I have Archie Moore, the greatest light heavyweight champion of all times. Ranked number 6 on my all-time great list. So I have Charlie Burley, number 2. of the greatest Group 3 black murderous row. He was an outstanding fighter. Colored welterweight champion. Colored middleweight champion. He was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame in 1983 and the National Boxing Hall of Fame in 1992. Fighting career record: 98 bouts, 83 wins, 50 KOs, 12 losses, 2 draws, and 1 no contest. Ezra Charles, Archie Moore, Holman Williams, Coco Kid, Jimmy Bivens, Tiger Jackson, Georgie Abrams, Jack Chase, Aaron Wade, Oakland Billy Smith, Charlie Williams can all contest. Phenomenal fighter. Here's a story. Harlem, New York. Charlie Bergy visits Sugar Ray Robinson's restaurant. Walks up to the bar. Threatens Ray Robinson for a fight. Takes a swing at Ray Robinson before being escorted out. Perhaps he had one drink too many, or perhaps he was eager to get him in the ring. They never fought. Charlie Burley, one of the most avoided fighters. I don't believe Ray Robinson avoided Charlie Burley, but I do believe Charlie Burley wanted his opportunity. Salute to the welterweight color champions. Charlie Burley, Black Murderous Row, Young Peter Jackson. Young Peter Jackson was a phenomenal fighter. He lost his color champion welterweight strap to Coco Kid. Outstanding fighters. I have Coco Kid, the greatest Puerto Rican fighter in the history of the game. Wilfredo Gomez, number 2. Fascinating. Salute to these great fighters. This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Saying thanks for hanging in there with me. That was round 10. Colored welterweight champions. Round 11, coming up. The colored lightweight champions. Greatest fighters of all time.